clear now. I'm at the foot of the ladder. The limb footbeds are only impressed in the surface about 1 or 2 inches. I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And hello everyone, welcome once again. My name is Logan and this is Decode Your Reality, and today I'm going to be breaking down and decoding the 1969, July 20th exactly, the moon landing. You know, did we go to the moon, folks? I mean, it's been over 50 years since we've been back, and you know, I've read that they lost the technology. How do you lose technology like that? Pretty lame to me, and that's why a lot of people think that they never went to the moon. Maybe they really wanted to, but maybe they never could. So we're going to be breaking all this down. What does it mean? The dates, the names of the people. And of course, you heard in the beginning of this, that's one small step for a man. That statement by Neil Armstrong, we'll be breaking that down. And I'm about to show you folks that the game of life is fixed. It is completely rigged. What I mean by that is man's being used. We're being used. You're being used. To what degree, I don't know. Like that little voice in the back of your head that's talking right now. Are you in control of that voice, or is it in control of you? And there's no way to prove either theory, but it's something to contemplate. Well, I'm going to show you with numbers, the mystical art platforms, real science, that man's being used. And everything is rigged. It's all planned out long before you and I got here. So my methods of decoding, if you're new to this, welcome. Just follow the breadcrumbs. It's like putting a puzzle together. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much for your support. I appreciate each and every one of you. A lot of you have some great things you've passed my way and continue to do so, and I'm grateful for that. Number one, I use numerology. Now, notice, I'll go back. Here is the numerology cipher. This is Derek's website, Gematrinator. It's probably the most popular. It's what most people use. These are all the different numerology, which is the science of numbers. Some people call it gematria, but you got to know the numbers, which then you get into numerology. So scratch gematria. Call it like it is. It's numerology. But anyway, these are all the ciphers. And some of you have no idea. Where do these come from? These reverse. You don't even know where they came from. You don't even know where they came from, and yet you're using them. I don't understand why. I really don't. It's so easy to connect numerology ciphers together. That's so simple. But you cannot figure out how this matrix works by just connecting the dots with numbers, because look at how many ciphers there are. So my suggestion is you just use one or two. Okay? This is the one I primarily like to use. Numerology with Chaldean. Notice it's a number 43. Each number or each letter has a number attached to it. Gives us an outcome of 43. And then what we want to do in step number 2, these are in no particular order, but step number 2, we can bring in pi, the perfect circle. You know, the measurement of a perfect circle. Now we're getting into sacred geometry, which there's only one way to measure pi. Only one. Not multiple. That's why this has, probably in my opinion, the most merit out of anything else. So you can take the number 43 and you can plug it in, and this is the website I use right here. It's called Subidium.com. Plug in any number up to like 2 million digits. It'll tell you where it appears. So the number 43 appears at the 23rd decimal digit and 24th, because 43 is a compound number. So the 23rd and 24th decimal digits of pi is where the number 43 appears. If you add up 23 plus 24, you're going to get the number 47, which is where we now get into alchemy, the science of these elements and where they're measured in a laboratory. Now, why do we want to bring that in? Because they tell us a story, folks. This is the website I use called the Royal Society of Chemistry. And each and every one of these, notice they have all little photographs. And they tell you a story, folks. And because the game of life is fixed, these will give you some great insights as to what these elements means, like who discovered them, on what date, what the pictures mean. Some great stuff on here. So 47 is tied to 43, which is tied to the element silver. And we know, if you've been following my research, 47 is a massive number. It's tied to Tetragrammaton, the ancient Israelite god mentioned in the Bible. It's also linked to the words Washington, D.C., and White House, and Georgetown, the university in Washington, D.C. Big, big things attached to the 47. Even the word 47 equals the number 47. And notice it has its atomic mass there. Some of these elements have multiple. This is its most abundant, 106. How many days of creation were there that we're told? 6 days. God rested on the 7th day. So it's day 1 through 6. There it is. And then step number 3 moves into step number 4. Why do I have this 5? Sorry about that. Should be step number 4. It's the cards. These are the cards I like to use. And I'm going to show you these in a second. If you want the graphics, hit me up. Send me an email, decodeyourreality@gmail.com, and I'll send them to you. Makes it easy for you to start decoding reality, going past just the basic numerology. But notice the 8 spade card is the 47th card in the deck. And I'm going to show you that goes right here. Here are the 52 cards in a typical poker deck. 52 week. These are very accurate. Why are these accurate? Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, there are 52 weeks in a year. These are highly embedded into nature. 52 weeks in the year, and there are 4 suits, matching the 4 seasons. There are 13 cards per suit, matching the 13 weeks per season. It also matches the lunar cycle patterns. So these things are extremely accurate, especially when you connect them to numerology. So the 8 spades card, there it is, the 47th card. And then we can tie that into the tarot, because this came after the cards of illumination. These were supposedly the beginning of the cards. And then the tarot, they've developed, and now there's 77, some say 78 cards in a tarot deck. But the 47th card in the deck is the Knight of Cups, which we then can move right back into the cards of illumination. It would be the Jack of Hearts, which is the Christ card. And we can read from that. We can study this. And then the 47th card in the medicine cards, these use animals instead of symbols or suits. And the 47th card is the prairie dog. Dog is God spelled backwards. It's an anagram. So we can get really a good indication of what numerology means by studying all this stuff and putting them together like a puzzle, the interpretation. So let's start off, folks, by getting into the guy who spoke those famous words, stepping off into the moon or onto the moon. Notice in numerology, Neil Alden Armstrong is the number 63. That's a direct match of the ancient Israelite God of the Bible, the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. Primarily the Hebrew Old Testament, where the origination actually started in Genesis 3 verses 14, which is pi itself. Kind of fascinating there. But 63 is really tied to the element copper. Why copper? And again, folks, is this really his name? Was this his birth name? I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not his parents. I don't know. But copper is tied to the 63 because it has an atomic mass of 63. It's got 29 protons. That's what this little number means up in the top left. Copper, when you say that word through speaking the spell, it's a 33. We know this guy right here was a Mason. That doesn't mean you can call it a day and say, oh, it's the Masons. That's it. I figured it out. If you've gone past that basic mindset, like I said before, congratulations. So it's way beyond that, folks. Way beyond that. The character Yaldabaoth, this is the Gnostic demiurge. Go study it. Brush up on it if you don't know it. Yaldabaoth is the Gnostic demiurge that runs this world, that supposedly keeps us a prisoner and sucks off our energy, which is what I believe currently. It's exactly what we are. Man is being used and we're energetic food. But you'll see Yaldabaoth's 29 matching that of Copper, matching that of 63, matching that of Neil Alden Armstrong, the first guy to step on the moon. Notice the pillars. That's why I have the pillars there. This is the Masonic arch. And the pillars were made of brass, copper, highly conductive for electricity. Elohim, the El, which is this character right there. Boaz and Jachin's a 33, leading us once again back to the 33 steps, 33 vertebrae. There's so many pieces to the 33, but it's all in bed together with this dude's name. How about his last name? Folks, you know, your parents didn't give you your last name. That's in your lineage, and who knows how far back it goes. 23andMe, and remember 23. Why 23andMe? Well, because 23 is the crown. Hello, they're collecting data, DNA data. That's why it's called 23andMe. It's a 55 actually, but nonetheless, Armstrong's his last name. 31 is the numerology output of that. 31 using the string of pi, it appears the 137th decimal digit of pi. 137, 138, but it starts at the 137th decimal digit of pi. And I want you to notice in numberempire.com that 137 is the 33rd prime number. And we were just talking about the 33. We were just talking about the 33 tied to his full name. So you see how tight this is. Like really tight with the numbers and the patterns. And how I perceive this, folks, it makes the story stronger. Stronger. What about his birthday? I found this cool shot of him. Thought it was really interesting. Really, I like this shot, but what about his birthday? August 5th, 1930. The August 5th card is the 8 of diamonds. Now, I'm going to digress and show you. Here's the boilerplate chart for the cards of illumination. Your birthday is going to be in here. Here's the 12 months. Here are the 31 days running vertically. You should know, folks, if you haven't decoded yourself, please watch my video on how to decode yourself. It's an hour and 5 minutes long, some of the best stuff you could ever do, because that's where you'll find your keys to your kingdom. Some of you don't even know why you're here. You should know who you are and why you're here. Keep digging, study yourself. But nonetheless, August 5th is the 8 diamonds card. That's what he has for his birthday card. The 8 diamonds card. And notice I placed, this is Lucifer's sigil. What does Lucifer have to do with this? We're going to get into that. Thank you once again, Kevin Clark, for pointing this out. But notice Lucifer's sigil, it goes right across all the contact points on this 8 diamonds card. And you'll notice the letter V right there. I decoded Lucifer. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. But it's all about Vanadium, the 23rd element. That's the crown. Vanadium starts with the letter V. The element, it's the 23rd element. 23 is linked to the word crown, linked to the word blood, linked to the word history. It's the 34th card in the lineages of the cards. And when you bring pi into this, the number 88 is linked to the 34 and 35 because that's where it's found. Right there. And why I'm showing 88 is because 88 is the number of time travel. If you haven't seen the movie Back to the Future in 1985, what are you waiting for? Marty McFly, Doc Brown, 88 miles an hour, the DeLorean. We know 88's tied to that. The only element that has the number 88 is the element yttrium, the 39th element. Notice the shape or abbreviation of yttrium. It's the letter Y. That's called the capstone in numerology, by the way. Any word, the first letter is called the capstone, which directs the ship of the word. It's the letter Y. And, is it possible that NASA, the red here, the tongue, is representing the letter Y? Or is that a V, representing the V in Lucifer's sigil, which is the 23rd letter, which is representing the word crown and blood and history, and a lot of other words that are massive in our spell speaking that we do. Possibilities that are worth considering, folks. Now at 10:56 p.m., Neil Armstrong was the first one to jump off the ladder, as you heard in the very beginning of this video. Thank you very much, NASA, for the content. That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Some people don't include the A, but according to NASA, it's for a man. It doesn't matter if you take that out because the numerology output's going to be the same. So let's decode that, folks. This is why I'm saying we're being used, folks. Man's not doing anything. Not for these big things. Maybe you decide to go to the gym or go to the grocery store. Maybe that's you making that decision. But what about the major decisions in your life? Are you in control of that? The little voice in the back of your head, are you in control of that? I know you want to say yes, but how are you to prove it? I can't prove that you are not, but you can't prove that you are. The numbers, however, that I'm showing you, that I'm going to keep showing you, show that man's being used. This is all a big rigged system. So let's break this down, these letters in red. Here it is. Look at this. That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. It's a total of 183. Even if you take out the letter A, it's going to be 182. It's still going to lead to this element right there. Tungsten has multiple weights. 182 is one of them. 183 is tungsten, otherwise known as wolfram, the wolf. The W is the 23rd letter in the alphabet. 23 is crown, 23 is blood, 23 is history. Huge nouns controlled by this 23. That's why Michael Jordan, LeBron James, that's why they wear this number. They're owned by the crown. They work for the crown. I have light bulbs here because you see, folks, tungsten was used in filaments for light bulbs to make them illuminate. So tungsten is illumination. Illuminati, illumination, 74. That's Neptune and Jupiter. Poseidon and Zeus. If you're following the cosmology of the planets and what order they're in. Notice, and most of you know this, these two characters on the world stage, they both equal now folks, look, the Vatican decided to spell it this way, but this is not the original spelling in the Hebrew Old Testament. It's actually Hyll, which actually turns into 39, which actually turns into this element right there. Lucifer actually is 39, the original. But as I said, it doesn't matter because the game of life's fixed. So it just gets passed down, and here we go. And, did the Vatican assign this word to represent Lucifer to feed off of the Jesus energy, or are they one and the same? Are they brothers in this battery that we live in? And when you give your worship to this, you're giving your worship to this. It doesn't matter. But man's being used, folks. That's it. 183 tungsten illumination. So let's bring in the string of pi now. Now we can go ahead and we can go 183 digits past the 3 point. This is the website that I use right here. It's called decimal.info. You can type in any number, like let's see, 131, and click on that. It'll give you 131 decimal digits past the 3 point. And then you can add those up. And you want to do that because that's where you kind of figure out how this stuff works. 183 digits past the 3 point. You add up all these digits, it becomes 812. And then you bring it back into pi. Where does the 812 appear? Well, it occupies 3 spaces. Right there. The 147th, 148th, and 149th. So then you add up. What is 147 plus 148 plus 149? What does that equal? Well, folks, I mean, I don't even use this cipher, but I couldn't help myself. 147 plus 148 plus 149 equals the number 444. And that's for both of these characters. So it goes right back to this right here, folks. Illumination. Jesus, Lucifer. Are they separate? Or does it not matter? Is this good cop, bad cop? Or are they both the same? That's up to you as the observer. That's up to you as the observer. There it is, folks. 444. Those 3 digits in the string of pi. And again, folks, listen. Pi is only measured one way. You can't just go use multiple numerology ciphers and think you got it figured out. What about the timestamp? Why 10:56 p.m.? Did they just... Is that exactly when they stepped on the moon, or Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon? I should say he. Or did they just put that in Wikipedia and all the other websites? Is it just a big conspiracy because it had to be 10:56 p.m.? Well, let's break it down a few ways. If you take 10 plus 56, you're going to get the master number 66. Which, you know, when you take 66 digits past the 3 point, you're going to end up with this number right there. You see why this has so much merit, folks? Look at the outcome. I don't even have to... You should know what that symbol means and what it's tied to. You know, this is a big number in the world stage today. Donald John Trump equals the number 66. Michael Richard Pence equals the number 66. Jorge, the current pope, his full name equals the number 66. There are 66 books in the Holy Bible. Why? And why are these guys feeding off those numbers? Things you need to consider. Let's break it down even more. What about alchemy? This is why I'm saying that the game of life's fixed. It's not just using one layer. I'm going to show you multiple. They all come out telling a story. Listen, 10:56 p.m., that's neon, the 10th element, and barium, the 56th element. Barium's, of course, 137, that's 33. COVID-19. 19 is battery. But notice when you add up these two, 19.992 plus 137.905, you're going to get 157 point ... 157 is the 37th prime number. And 37 is huge because it is the birth card of the United States of America. Because the Constitution was delivered to the world July 4th, 1776. The July 4th card is the Jack Diamond's card. How about that? We're talking United States landing on the moon. Let's go a little further. 157 is the number we land on by adding up the timestamp using the elements of the periodic table. We get 157. When we go 157 digits into pi and add them all up, look at what we get. An anagram of the 157. Even though it's probably not even called an anagram, but the numbers are jumbled. It's the same numbering output, which is a big deal. And then if you go 37 digits in, you get the same outcome. Folks, do you see? How's this possible? Do you think these people are sitting down and saying, it has to show 10:56 p.m.? It's got to show that because it has to line up with this, and it has to line up with this, and it's got to land on this card. No way, folks. Man is being used. Okay, we're being used to fulfill this software called the Matrix. Let's take it a step further. Let's tell a little bit more of the story. Let's support what I'm saying. So we know this is 157. The timestamp becomes 157, which becomes 37. And there it is, 715, 175. But what element has the 157? Well, it's the 64th element, gadolinium. 64 is the amount of squares on a chessboard. 64 is the possible codons in our DNA. Our DNA. And when you go to the Royal Society of Chemistry, of course I told you every one of them has a photograph, it's used for television screens. Television. Television. And then when you get the 37th element, which is right here to the 37 prime, tied to the 157, timed to the timestamp of when Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon, it's rubidium, the 37th element. What is rubidium all about? Well, folks, go study it. It's the electric eye. It's possibly the sun and moon staring over the earth. The electric eye. It's made for photosensors, which is actually tied to the Christ, the Jesus Christ figure. Because 18, I believe, is tied to the 84 in the string of pi. But folks, let me look at this. If you put the O in there, what do you got? You got the word God, folks. Man's being used. We're being used. Here's the date that they supposedly landed on the moon. July 20th, 1969. Notice the 69, that's Cancer, and tied to Lucifer heavily, and Tropic of Cancer. But it's the 201st day of the year. In a leap year, it would have been 202, but 1969 was not a leap year. But Agenda 201. Are you seeing the picture now, folks? You see? You're seeing this. The July 20th card is the 8 clubs. It's kind of interesting because Donald's wife Melania has that as her birthday card. But nonetheless, 8 clubs is the 21st card in the deck, and that's linked to the planet Saturn. And of course, Father Time, which is the Yod, which is Yaldabaoth. It's all the same character, just packaged differently. When you bring in, so the 21st card is the 8 clubs. The 21st card in the tarot is the World card. The last card in the major arcana, folks. And that's linked to the moon landing date. I mean, if you know the symbols, there's the Vesica Piscis, and there's the 4 faces of God, talked about in Ezekiel 1 verses 10, which links to our X chromosomes, which links to the number 55, which links to the word Satan, which links to the 10th Fibonacci number, which is the yod, folks. It's all connected. All of it. Even the rocket that took him there, Apollo, which is of course talking about the sun worship, which is what the yod is. It's a sun deity. It's 29. And that's linked to the, once again, Gnostic demiurge Yaldabaoth, which, I mean, who was on that rocket? Mr. Armstrong himself, who is linked to copper. And 29, because his last name is 63. How convenient. So I'm almost finished with this presentation, folks. I wanted to add in what's NASA all about? Because they're leading the charge. They never show us real photographs of the Earth. Why? Deception. And this, folks, this is what I believe to be the reason why. You know, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. That's what NASA stands for. That equals 138. That's tied to the element lanthanum. That means that this element, if you go study it, in Greek, where the original spelling of it came from, it means to lie hidden. What would be lying hidden? Why would you want to hide? It's kind of interesting because Donald John Trump, his alchemology equals 138. But anyway, the 57's tied to the element nickel because nickel has an atomic mass of 57. And we know Lucifer's 28, and it's no secret anymore. Nickel is known as devil's copper. And that's tied to silicon, which is tied to nitrogen. And you can follow the trail and get some pretty good other things to show. But here's what they go by abbreviation-wise. NASA, NASA. 4 letters, 2 consonants, 2 vowels. It equals the number 10 in Chaldean. Which again, to me, has the most merit. If you're not using it, I don't know why you're not. Notice, this is called alchemology. This is where we bring in the elements of the periodic table and we tie them into the numbers from the letters. We blend it all together. So NASA 51331, it's boron, hydrogen, lithium, hydrogen. Then we add these up. Going over to our trusty calculator, we get the number 20.041, which if we add that up, that's 61. That's promethium. That's linked to the 144,000 in the Bible. But I mean, remember, the landing date of the Apollo 11 was July 20th. 20. And then, you know, folks, if you know, that's why gematria just doesn't cut it out. I hate to burst some of you and your bubbles. And I'm probably going to get some thumbs down for some of you. I don't really care. Because I'm trying to set things straight, really. Because I see, if you think gematria where it's at, you got it all wrong. Because see, numerology, you got to understand how it works. And some of the ways of numerology is taking the consonants, separating them from the vowels. And you get some numbers from there. But you got to understand what the numbers mean. But anyway, NASA, the 2 consonants is the N and the S. Remember, in Hebrew times, they didn't have vowels. Phoenician, no vowels. NASA's a 53 with the consonants only. And then you have an AA, 2 pyramids right there. So then we can bring in the elements of the periodic table. Iodine, as in the I am that I am. Matching the N and the S. And then sodium, one of Jesus's elements. The salt bridge, anode, cathode, the battery we live in. So we add these up, folks, right here. We get the number 149.894. 149 on the masculine side of the decimal. Why is this important? We bring in numberempire.com. 149 is the 35th prime number. That's directly matched to NASA in the English. So you can see that, I'm not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And folks, listen, I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to prove you wrong. Really, I'm not. I'm just trying to show you this methodology and tell you if you're just using numerology, you're going to be stuck. This is my last slide. So who does NASA worship? Who do they get their energy from? Who do they follow? And what are they all about? Deception. They're about deception. We know that. That's a no-brainer. Sorry, NASA, that's what you don't tell the truth. It's okay to admit it. But you notice NASA's a 10. 10 is linked to the... Matter of fact, the British government is located at 10 Downing Street. Why 10? 10 is the binary number. The male, female. There's the female, there's the male. And then, the 10th letter in the Hebrew alphabet is the Yod. As in Yod-Heh-Vah, the ancient Israelite God of the Bible. And, in the English I showed this because it matches Neil Armstrong's full name in numerology. The Yod-Heh-Vah, here are the initials of the Yod-Heh-Vah, 63, which is linked to europium, but it's also linked to copper, which is highly Masonic because those are what the pillars were made of in the Boaz and Yachin expressions. 63. And Yaldabaoth is 29, which is this character right there. It's all the same thing, folks. All of it. So you have to ask yourself, have we been hijacked? Has our matrix reality been hijacked? Or is it truly this character right here that is the demiurge, that doesn't give a shit what you think, or doesn't care about what I think? It's just, this is the game. And these people are feeding off of this, and they just don't tell you that. Something to consider, folks. Something to consider. So there you have it, folks. That's all I got for today. What is it that you saw? What did you see during this presentation? Something you can add? I'd love to hear from you. But what is it that you saw? So that's all I got for today. My name is Logan. This is Decode Your Reality. Thank you so very much for watching.